I walk in this morning, and the Venerable Joe Rev drops $100, which always goes to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. Joe, that made my morning. That literally made my morning. That you and I understand what you're doing because of the fact that you're done with the Giants and all this stuff, and I appreciate that. But I really just generally from the bottom of my heart appreciate that, because that to me, like I said, everyone knows that when we get super chats, we give them to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. We don't keep the money. You know, and people could keep the money all they want. They could do all they want with their money. And, you know, and when people give money to the likes of Chris and Bad Dog for basically recognizing your super chat, we try to do that all day long. But for the generosity of Mr. Joe Rev, and hopefully, Joe, you're still on the stream and you're still on the chat, email me at tim@onlineBigBlue.com, because I do want to send you the hat. Just for that, just for your generosity, just for your kindness, just for your support for the channel itself. Email me, like I said, tim@onlineBigBlue.com. I do want to send you the Salute to Service hat. And like I said, I've always appreciated your support. I appreciate everything you've done. And it's just one of those, it's just, you made my morning. You made my morning. Well, not that I was having a bad morning, but Joe Rev comes in and makes the morning. He saves the day. So if you're not in the chat, I'm here. Email me, Joe Rev. Tim, it's a very hard email.
That's what she said.
tim@onlineBigBlue.com. Send me your address, and I'm going to send you the Salute to Service hat. Just for your generosity for the kids. For the kids. Let's give them something to talk about. So the draft concluded. I'm going to make sure I get to everyone's chats today, because I want to get to everyone's opinion on this draft, because I give this draft a solid B-. And I haven't done my draft video. You make sure you send it out, Joe Rev. Send it out today so I can try to mail it to, because I have to go to the post office. We got Mark Hernandez, Mark all the way from Barbados. I tried looking at this draft, and we have a draft video coming out on Monday. And I looked at this draft, and outside of neighbors, you kind of look at the way this draft broke down for the Giants and the picks that they had, and getting Tyler Nubin was an interesting pick. And it's funny though, because I didn't know a lot about Tyler, so I went back and I kind of looked at everything that Tyler had done. And I kind of looked at his body, let's say his body of work at school. And I saw Chris, the entertainer, write something incredibly monumentally stupid, because that's just what he does on Twitter, about how Xavier McKinney got $14 million and we're giving this guy $2 to come in, or $1 million to come in and be the guy. Okay, dumbass. What even makes you think he is going to be starter from day one? He has to be, basically, because of the fact that we don't have anyone else. But you really think he's going to be on the all-pro level of an Xavier McKinney, when the first thing they tell you about Tyler Nubin is he's got zero speed? When you're timing a guy with a sundial and you're going to put him in the defensive backfield. Now, also, you got to remember, Chris is the same guy that said Yusef Corker is going to be the greatest player ever. He's going to be the sleeper. I'm not saying that he is not going to be a good player. All I'm saying is that if you actually look at what the scouts said, yes, he was the highest safety on the board. But we've said this a million times before, and we've said this a lot of times with people. You have to look at the fact that what free agency did. In free agency, and everyone was like, well, we got all these old safeties out here. Nobody's going to get any money. Well, a lot of safeties got money. And why did safeties get money? Because they knew that this was one of the weakest classes for the safety position. You got a guy whose scouting report says he's limited in man coverage, takes bad angles, misses a lot of tackles, and has limited speed. has issues covering the tight end and running backs. While he is athletic, he has issues with speed and he has issues in coverage. When you say someone has issues in coverage and there is safety, there's something very wrong there. Now they'll also tell you that he's an instinctive player. He's very versatile. He's a hard hitter, which you like to see. He's capable, and I love it because we've talked about this before. We talked about this with Patrick Graham. We talked about this with Logan Ryan and Mr. Peppers. When you play, he could be the 8th man in the box. He's not going to be a man guy. He's going to have to be a zone guy because of his lack of speed and his ability to get off the ball and the fact that he misses a lot of tackles. I love it. Misses tackles, takes bad angles, man coverage is limited. That sounds just like Xavier McKinney. That sounds like all the skills Xavier McKinney has. Yes, I understand he was the best safety in the draft. And I heard for weeks, you can't take a quarterback at 6 if you're going to reach. Because if you take a quarterback at 6 and it's like Penix or McCarthy or someone else, it's a reach. But we can reach for a safety with our 2nd round pick because it was a position of need. So that's not still considered a reach. I am very confused by how that is not considered a reach. And then you go over and you're like, okay, well, you know what? It was not a faux pas, but you know, it was one of those things that, you know, we will go for, and I always hear about it. It's we're going to get the best player available. Okay. So we're going to go get the best player available now. So what do? We know we need a cornerback. We know we need a corner, right? So what do? We're gonna go get. But again, it's a position of need because we don't have a CB2. So we go get Phillips out of Kentucky. And I look at Phillips, and I'm kind of just like, okay. Let's look at Phillips. Let's look at his body of work at Kentucky. Let's look at what he has done. He was probably, I would say, Phillips is a poor man. You know, it's funny. He's a poor man's Max Melton. He is so well regarded that he was listed as the 21st in a lot of people's drafts. He was listed as the 21st cornerback prospect. A lot of people says he was a 3rd or 5th rounder. He's definitely a mid-rounder. He's going to probably be most people predict him to be a slot corner and special teams contributor. He's not a guy that's going to be a CB2. He's not a guy you're going to want to put on the outside at 5'10", 190. He does have some speed. He ran a 4.5. He's not going to be much of a tackler. They've all said this. He's going to be a cover guy. He is not going to be much of a tackler. Most people have him listed as a slot corner, kind of like Darnay Holmes and Cordell Flott. And he's not, and he should be a special teams contributor. So again, we talked about how you can't take a quarterback in the 1st round because it would be a reach for position. But you can reach for a need at safety and corner and not go best player available. And then you take the line. You take Darius at a UCLA. He'd been in college for 5 years, and everyone's like, "Well, he's a solid tackler. He's this. He's also small. He's also slow." Just go look up Larry Stations from Iowa, and then get back to me. Then you got Tyrone Tracy, the running back out of Purdue, who was a wide receiver for 3-4 years. And we're going to add, because he's got a little size, we're going to add him to the quarterback room. The running back room at 6'1". When there were other actual true running backs on the board. And then we're going to look at Theo Johnson, which tells me You don't think a hell of a lot of Dane Bellinger and the other guys that you brought in to be a filler if Waller retires. I mean, you look at this, and then you have the neighbors. Well, it should be my neighbors. You have the neighbors who basically looked like he was being held hostage. if you watched this giant press conference, I love the person that did the that created the thumbnail or whatever you want to call it, and it was neighbors holding up the jersey without his name on it, but just basically had the words "help me," because that's what it looked like. Now, of course, that could change. You know, he could fall in love with New York. He could fall in love with Daniel Jones. He could do all these things. And going back to Theo Johnson, I mean, like I said, 6'6", 260. He's got some speed. Another guy that was a third or fourth rounders. He didn't see a lot of passes. 7 touchdowns, 34 catches over in 2023. He got an invitation to I remember him at the Senior Bowl, but he had a good week. There was nothing else really that great. And evidently he did well at the combine. But I'm seeing all these people like these are the greatest things ever. It's a B-. And you could hate me. You could say I'm a hater. You could say I'm mean. But I want you to go back and do something for me. For all the people that fucking hate me, I want you to go back and do something for me. Go watch my last 3 draft videos where I grade the draft. Go back and watch those last 3 videos. And tell me what I said that was wrong. Because I was told I was a hater. I was told I didn't know anything about football, don't know anything about sports, no nothing whatsoever. But it was funny because someone DM'd me on Twitter yesterday and said, I'm waiting for your draft video. Because I went and watched your draft videos, your graded videos, and you are eerily scary how much you got right. And then I love it because people all come out with other content creators. Oh, that's an A. That's a solid home run. And then when I say that after the Thomas McKinney draft that we snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory, off the other picks. Oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, kid. Yeah, well. When I talked about Joe Shane's last 2 drafts and how certain players could implode, well, I got that wrong too. And then I love when people I never do a regrade on my draft videos, especially the last 3-4 years, because they've been eerily accurate in reference to how they work out for the team. So just go back. And I love it because people are like, you always think you're right. Just go back and watch. That's all I ask. They're going to bring up, well, you were wrong about Malik Willis. Okay. Yeah, some people are wrong. That happens. But I was right about Kenny Pickett. I was right about Josh Rosen. I was right about Kyler Murray. I was right about Zach Wilson. Was right about a lot of quarterbacks. But we don't want to talk about that. We don't talk about that. You want to point the one thing that you think is going to cut me to the quick. And it doesn't. I was born in a crossfire hurricane. Oh, G Knockout says, what's good, Tim? I don't understand how people trash Michael Penix for his injury history, but are cool with drafting a safety with the same problems. I know. Penix says is an older player, too. Yeah. And I love how we had the big run of quarterbacks after our pick. And people are right. It's like the Giants. Make sure you hit the like button. It's like the Giants set up the board for everyone else to take their quarterback. Atlanta, who gave Kirk Cousins $1 billion, $100 million, drafts Michael Penix. JJ McCarthy goes to the Vikings. Bo Nix, like we said, goes to Denver. Hell, New England dips back into the quarterback pool and pulls out Joe Milton. The Jets get a quarterback. And we're sitting there with our thumbs up our asses. And I've always said it. I never truly believed all the stories about John Mara until, like I said, until we met some people that worked for the Giants on Thursday in a bar. And I've told the story. I told these people who I was because I didn't want them to say anything if I talked about what they told me. And one of the scary things that they kept saying was, you know, that they always talk to Mr. John Mara. It's always Mr. John Mara. And the entire conversation when we talk about John Mara was, well, you know, the other day I was talking to Mr. John Mara. The other day I was in the office and I said, good morning, Mr. John Mara. How egotistical is that? That basically people that have been with the organization for years are brainwashed to the point that they have to use the phrase Mr. John Mara. From now on, I am no longer T-Dog. I am Mr. Online Big Blue Sports, sir. So get that right, guys. I am Mr. Online Big Blue Sports, sir. So then you think about this. You hire Joe Shane, and like I said, all I could think about was this now.
What is thy bidding, my master?
That's all I can think about now. I don't think he's in charge of shit. I really don't. I really don't, because of the fact that you think, and like I said, I always try to give the benefit of the doubt to any general manager that came in here because of Daniel Jones. I've always given them the benefit of the doubt that they have the autonomy to do whatever they want to do. But I sit there and I talk, I sit there and I listen to Mr. John Mara. And I think Shane is in charge of.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now: Jack and shit. Jack left town.
That's what I think Joe Shane's in charge of. I think they basically said, Joe, you can have picks 2 through 6. But as an organization, we're picking 1 together. And we're taking a wide receiver because Jalen Jones needs weapons. We drafted Kadarius. We traded out of the draft and moved down and got Kadarius Toney, and he needed weapons. We went and got him Wando Robinson, which was redundancy for Kadarius Toney because he needed weapons. We went out and got, people forget, we went out and got him Kenny G because he needed weapons. Went out and got him Golden Tate because he needed weapons. We went out and got him Paris Campbell because he needed weapons. We went out and got him Darren Waller because what? He needed weapons. He had Saquon Barkley, which was a weapon. And then now we go out and draft. Oh, we had Evan Ingram, but Evan Ingram sucked to the point that last year he goes, his second year in Jacksonville, he catches the second most passes in league history for a tight end because he wasn't a weapon. And now we go out and get Neighbors because we need to get him a weapon. And I like the Neighbors pick. I already said I've talked about it. I don't know how many times ad nauseum that I would take Neighbors. I said I wouldn't be upset if we took Neighbors. Said I wouldn't have a problem if we took fucking Neighbors. I like Neighbors.
Won't you be my neighbor?
I like him. I like him a lot. But he's come to a place where wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs come to die. And all the fools, all the DJ lovers are back now in a full vengeance, which will only last about 3 months. He's got the weapons now. He's got the offensive line. Great. What's going to be, I'm going to get close. What's going to be his fucking excuse when he goes 1-6 again? I love it because even Fisk Vegas, someone sent me a clip, or he said, he wrote something on Twitter. I forgot where it was. I forgot what it was. Even he was like, what are you guys going to say when Daniel Jones overthrows Neighbors? I even wrote, who the hell is this? And first of all, it wouldn't be an overthrow, it'd be an underthrow. People will talk about he had the best deep ball in the league 3 years ago. He threw 13 fucking passes. He was 13-7. 7 out of 13 with 2 touchdowns, and 2 of them were busted plays by Darius Slayton, and one of them should have been an interception in the Texans game because I was there. Said this before, don't piss down my leg and tell me it's raining. Because we know better. The intelligent fan, the smart fan, the person that actually questions things because you need to think sometimes, understands you need to question shit.
Because I like to think. I like to read.
I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy like to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer wiener.
As I get older, I see the Giant fans for what they are. Certain segment, the new segment. We need instant gratification. We need the microwave society. Nothing is ever your fault. Nothing is ever wrong. You have done nothing wrong. Everyone else has done everything wrong. You are perfect. It's everyone else's fault. Joe Shane has an average draft outside of pick one, and we got to look at here and tell people how friggin' wonderful it is. Ohio says, get ready for some more 500 football. I've had enough of Joe Shane. 500 football, we're lucky. I'm done with this Giants for a while, says Joe Rev. We also got the OG Knockout said, sorry for being a bummer, but every team in our division has gotten better. The whole NFC North has gotten better. I only see one win for the Giants in the NFC East this year, 0-4 in the NFC North. And that's being nice. Rusty Nails, thank you for the super chat. Of course, all super chats go to the Philadelphia Children's House. Listen, if you want to give a super chat, you want to donate, you want to do something good, you want to feel good on a Sunday, donate here because we give the money to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. Let your money do something good. It's your money. It's your hard-earned money. It's whatever you want to do with it. I don't care. But when you give it to schlubs just so they can read your super chat, there's something wrong there. That's what's wrong with this fucking... I'm not even going to get into it. Somebody pushed the wrong button on Tim today. So don't forget, like Mr. John Mara, it is Mr. Online Big Blue Sports, sir. Kevin says, peace, Tim. This organization is a circus show. Chris says, hey, Tim, what's up? Well, evidently a lot. Good morning from Mark from Barbados. So Joe Shane finally said, listen to Daniel Jones on the contract for 3 more years. We are stuck with the garbage time and everyone. I love that Joe Shane, he talked about how we're the only team in 3 years that has not even taken a quarterback. Our quarterback room is Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, and Tommy DeVito. That is our quarterback room. That's it. Everyone else is looking at quarterbacks. Everyone else is getting better. Everyone else is doing things to improve their organization from the top down, which is the main position. And we are sitting there wondering why we have so many gosh darn issues. Hold on. I want to play this Joe Shane thing about his assessment of quarterbacks because this is telling to me. This was the whole thing that told me. This is kind of the thing that set me over the edge. And we all know it doesn't take a lot to send me over the edge. We all know that. Here we go. Let me find it. Here we go. I'm going to find it. Right. I found it. For some reason, it won't let me play it. They blocked me. They blocked truth. This is a dictatorship. Hold on.
Just based on where you're picking led to some maybe doubt about your faith in Daniel. Obviously, you signed the big deal last year. So many people maybe would take that as you're looking to move off him. So do you like recommit to him or anything? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've said it before. It's not just right now. I mean, Dave's and I went through this in 2017, and we've got an intimate knowledge of that class, whether it was Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Mason Root. I mean, you can go through it, and we know those guys. We have a very good feel. Last year's draft, we spent time with C.J. Stroud. We spent time with Will Levis. Like now we know what these kids are about. If they ever become free agents or they're on the trade market, I just think it's a different position.
So for these kids there, you think you're going to be here long enough for Will Levis and C.J. Stroud to hit the trade market? Your ass is grass, Joe. And Daniel Jones is the lawnmower. Dable is sitting there like, look, I wish I could show you Dable's face. He's sitting there, he is looking down, he is looking away. We always go, I'm going to take a picture of it and I'm going to cut it together right now for you. And we always talk about body language on this show. We always talk about that Mrs. OBB is very much into body language, very much into looking, how people look at the camera, how people move their body in a certain way, how they adjust their position, how they drink multitudes of water when they want to, when they want to convey something that they may not like. I want to put this clip up because that's how professional we're here. I'm cutting and pasting as quickly as possible because I want to show this to everyone in reference to what Brian Daboll looks like when this clip is playing. All right, so let's go back to the clip. Can I go back to the clip? What did I do here? I'm going to go back to this clip here. Hold on. It's the professionalism of this show that I know everyone loves and enjoys because we are beyond professional here. New window. We're going to go back to Twitter. So, all right, let's go back and listen to this, but let's look at let's look at the way Brian Daboll is literally looking during this whole interview.
Quarterbacks, just based on where you're picking, led to some maybe doubt about your faith in Daniel. Obviously, you signed the big deal last year. So many people maybe would take that as you're looking to move off him. So do you recommit to him or anything? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've said it before. It's not just right now. I mean, Dave's and I went through this in 2017, and we've got an intimate knowledge of that class, whether it was Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Mason Root. I mean, you can go through it, and we know those guys. We have a very good feel. Last year's draft, we spent time with C.J. Stroud. We spent time with Will Levis. Now we know what these kids are about. If they ever become free agents or they're on the trade market, I just think it's a different position when you're evaluating it. You can watch all the film you want, but there's reasons at that position guys succeed and they fail, and it's not just because of the tape. So that's always good. I mean, the 3 years we've been here, we've done a lot of work on the quarterbacks. Maybe it hasn't been as public, it hasn't been as well covered, but we'll always do that just because the importance of the position and what goes into it. You can't just throw the tape on and say, okay, I'll sign that guy.
No, but you could throw on the tape of Daniel Jones. You could work with him day in and day out. You could see that he's garbage. Every other team laughs at us that we have Daniel Jones. They're praising the fact that Daniel Jones is the Giants quarterback because it's a win in New York. But you don't sit there and you don't go after and bring anyone in that could challenge. And I don't want to hear you bringing in Drew Lock. You don't bring anyone in that can challenge the golden boy, Mr. John Mara's golden boy. Because of the fact if you did that, he might crap his pants and wipe it on his face. How many times has Daniel Jones shit the bed in this team? I'm not trying, and I know it's a vulgar statement to put, but how many times? How many times? A ton. And you want to keep running back the same freaking record, and you want people to sit there and go, well, this is a great draft because we got neighbors. Ask Paris Campbell. Ask Waller. Ask Golden Tate. Golden Tate, the model fucking NFL citizen, the Golden Domer. Loved him in Seattle. Loved him in Philadelphia. The consummate professional comes to New York. His career dies. I'm going to get to you in a minute. Rob's doing exercise. And I also have to get everyone in the chat. His career dies. He's all of a sudden a malcontent. He's all of a sudden has issues. Darren Waller figured it out the preseason game against Carolina. Daniel Jones in a preseason game throws Darren Waller into contact on a crossing pattern. Almost gets him killed. Darren Waller probably looked at that moment in time and said, holy shit, I don't want to be here, motherfucker. He all of a sudden figured out how to play. When Tyrod Taylor's in the game, he figured out how to play. Oh, I can still play. But no. We got to get the golden boy. He is going to be fired next year, Joe Shea. This is going to be a 4-win team. I love when people are like, Tim, we love when you're fired up. This is, and I'm like, you should do fired up videos all the time. I can't, because this isn't me pretending. This isn't me acting. This is me. When I get pissed, I get pissed. And God help you if you're on the other end of it. Just ask this man. He's been on the other end of it.
I sure am. You know what?
No, what?
I take back my apology from the other day.
What apology from the other day?
When I called you on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
After just listening to you for the last, 5-10 minutes. Yo, Tone, what's going on, bro? Dude, hey.
You look at this fucking draft, Rob. Wait. I'm not done yet. You got a safety whose whose problem is this. You got a safety. This is the safety's problem. He can't run. He can't cover. He has problem in man-to-man coverage. He's a big hitter, but he takes bad angles. But don't worry. People like Chris are on Twitter going, $14 million for McKinney, $1 million for this guy. What a fucking deal. You are a fucking idiot.
Joe Shane can do math.
Joe Shane can do math. I can do math too. 1 + 1 means you're a fucking idiot. And this is what pisses me off. People get their information from these morons. And then they go out and they talk about it like it's gospel in different places. But instead of going, hey, listen, you have a second rounder that is basically replacing a guy that should have been an all-pro, who played 100% of the snaps, who you maturated and matured for 4 years in this organization, watched him like Julian Love become a player. You let him go because of the fact that you give the money to Brian Burns, who's a fucking carbon copy of Kayvon Thibodeau, and you could have kept Barkley and McKinney for the same money as the Burns, and you could have gotten a defensive end. You could have got a wide receiver in the second round. Buffalo, who has no wide receivers and a quarterback, figured out I can get a wide receiver later in the draft because this is a wide receiver laden draft, and I get Keenan Coleman with the 33rd pick. But no, I'm going to grab Neighbors at 6 because I don't want to get a guy maybe in the second or third round who potentially could produce the same amount of statistics and same amount of production as Neighbors at 6 because of the fact that Mr. John Mara doesn't want a quarterback outside of Panty Boy Daniel Jones. I need a vitamin now.
Look, we didn't take an offensive lineman in the draft. We didn't draft a defensive lineman in this draft. And I'm seeing on the timelines, I'm seeing people saying,
Hold on, wait a minute. I got to drop this guy in because he was with me. Big Al, let's talk about, we're not going to say who the guy was. We're not going to throw anybody out. Let's talk about Mr. John Mara.
You mean our...
Of course, Big Al freezes. Big L
Our highly reliable sources.
You're frozen, man. Here you go. We have a highly reliable source. The Big L was with me, and I don't want to say where we were. And I don't want to say what we were doing. I don't want to get this gentleman in any type of trouble, because I did tell him right away, Big L, who I was. I told him what I did. Did I or did I not?
Yeah. We pretty much said.
We pretty much. He came up to us and started talking to us because we were wearing our Giants gear. And then he found out who he was. And then he started talking. And everything out of this kid's mouth, and he's not even a kid, was Mr. John Mara.
He sounded
like he was a freaking hostage.
Yeah.
Man, your internet crapping.
It was like he was brainwashed.
It's the Stockholm syndrome. He's Patty Hearst. Everything was Mr. John Mara. Well, I was in the office the other day and Mr. John Mara was there. I was like, okay, from now on, I am Mr. Online Big Blue, sir.
I'm Mr. Tim.
No, Mr. Online Big Blue, sir.
You see what Adam Schefter just put out?
No, I didn't.
He said that the Patriots and the Vikings reached out to the Chargers to see if they would trade Justin Herbert.
Oh, I saw that yesterday. I saw that yesterday.
Oh my God.
I saw that yesterday. But Big O, what do you got, Big O?
No, it's just this is another 4 or 5 win season, and we're coming right back to pick at this. We're gonna be picking 5, 6 next year. That's what I summed up.
We're gonna have a new head coach. In the
Nothing to hold your hat on.
There's
If you
nothing.
look at his second round picks from since he started, Wandale Robinson. What has Rondale Robinson done? What is there to say that he is going to take the next step?
He's got like a 2-yard yak, and he gets the
He's
ball
really done.
3 yards up the line of scrimmage.
He can't catch anything. Like, there's nothing to hold your hat on. There's nothing to say we're building something. I'd rather be Ryan Poles right now than Joe Shane.
Yeah, so would I.
Literally.
I'd be in Chicago. I will literally be in Chicago.
Exactly. But he's constructed a better roster than this guy has, and this guy has been. They've been doing it at the same time. It just the talent isn't there. Like, we just don't have the talent.
I love this yet, though. We haven't even talked about Phillips yet. Well, actually, we did. I did touch on Phillips briefly. And
Another Darnay Holmes.
I mean, yeah, he is a slot guy. He is a guy that they say has speed. He is a guy that says that don't count on him to stick his head in the pile and tackle. I mean, so he was listed on most draft boards anywhere between the 19th to 21st best corner on the board. And we grabbed him in the 3rd round.
That's Cordell Flott, right? Isn't that Cordell Flott again?
It's Cordell Flott and Darnay Holmes.
Yeah.
All mixed out the one. And then we're going to put a 5'11" guy at 180 pounds on this. He's like I said, he was a poor man's Max Melton. That's
He's just a poor man.
That's what this kid is. And there's, like I said, not every pick is going to be a home run, but our Zerby.
Yes, sir.
Explain this to me real quick. And I got to get to the people in the chat too. Explain this. And I see Mr. McCormick sitting there as well. Explain this to me, because I need some clarification. Okay. I need you to clear. I need your brain trust. That's
you need me to clarify something for you.
Clarify it, Rob.
We need you to clarify this, Rob.
I'll do my best.
Okay, are you ready? Because I've asked this question a million times before.
Fire away.
You can't take Penix at 6 because it would be a reach. And you would be drafting position. But you have a need for a safety and a corner. So you reached for a safety in the 2nd round, and you reached for a corner in a 3rd. But it's not a reach, but you took a safety in the 2nd and a corner in the 3rd, which was something you needed positionally. You didn't go best player available. You looked like you literally went down your depth chart and said, okay, I need a safety and I need a corner. But those 2 picks aren't a reach.
Well, on mock drafts, they were ranked, lower than where we took them. So it was a steal, according to most. Does that answer your question? These
are also the same people that probably did these contracts.
Yeah. Bro, I literally saw somebody go to somebody's mock draft and post a picture of where Andrew Phillips was, and I'm not trying to shit on Andrew, right?
No, I'm not shitting on Andrew.
You know what? Hopefully he has a good career. But they literally said, hey, he was ranked 76 and we took him at 70. That's a good draft. And they showed somebody's mock rankings and took a picture of it. Like, dude, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? Right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm already seeing on the timeline, people like us saying you don't draft an offensive lineman at any point in the draft. You don't draft a defensive lineman at any point in the draft.
Defensive tackle.
You know what I'm seeing as the responses? Did Joe Shane not sign 5 offensive linemen in free agency? So what you're telling me is that when this fucking guy is getting sacked out of his mind, I don't want to hear none of you fucking sloth-minded fucking rejects on the timeline saying, but the offensive line is bad, right?
No pun.
We shouldn't hear none of that bullshit, right? Because Joe Shane, Fucking Joe Shane, bro. Cooking up a storm. He signed 5 offensive linemen in free agency.
It's all 5 of them are going to hit.
And
Okay.
and he's gonna cut like 2 or 3 of them. Watch.
Okay.
Well,
I don't want to hear shit.
The other problem is you need a linebacker. If you were going to have the likes of Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns on your edge, you're going to need a linebacker because of the fact that these guys are more likely going to pursue and be taken out of the play at some point in times in the game. So you go and get a kid, and again, a 5-year starter, small guy, short guy. I tell people, go look up Larry Station out of Iowa back in the 80s. Another great college ball linebacker, went to the Steelers, flamed out because he was a small guy and he had this monumental career. But you're bringing in a guy that he's slow. He can find the ball, he can get to the ball, but you needed someone that's good. You need some guys that are more athletic on this team. You went out and got 2 defensive ends that are supposed to be athletic. You have the likes of Dexter Lawrence, who's a big man, he's athletic, but you have the issue is that if your edges are not pushing the ball carrier back to the middle of the field and they're working on the outside, you're going to have to hope that Bobby Okereke, who's a very nice guy, Big L can attest to that, is a very nice guy. You have to hope that he is going to get cloned somehow and be all over the field, because we know that, going back to Shane Bowen, he is not known for having very proficient secondaries, and the fact that he likes to rush 4 men and only to generate his pass rush, and he only blitzes about 25% of the times, and that's over a 5-year synopsis of him being in Tennessee. So it's going to get very ugly very quick if you have no CB2. They're waiting from our reliable source, L. They are waiting for Adoree Jackson to basically come crawling back to the Giants.
Yeah, he's gonna get him on the cheap. The 2-for-1.
They're gonna get him on the cheap. That is. And this, like I said, this is coming from a very reliable, drunken source that they're waiting for him to come back and get on the cheap. That's their plan.
Did you guys like what I found hilarious is you got Darius Slayton that doesn't show up to, I get it, it's voluntary. Doesn't show up to voluntary meetings, requests a new contract, but then defends Malik Neighbors on the timeline about him being drafted. That's right, Darius Slayton. You be the good little boy you are, and you show up for Brian Davis.
You gotta fall in, brother. You gotta.
He's being a
fall
good
in line.
Fall
You
in
be a
line.
you be that good Samaritan.
Yeah, you
right?
get that good soldier.
I would respect him more if he grabbed his fucking balls, put on his big boy pants, and said, "No, give me a new fucking deal." And then you went to another team, and you know what? You produce, and they gave you good for you. But the second you get an opportunity to actually do that, you tuck your tail between your legs, and you become the good old Jolly Bee, good old Samaritan. Why? Because there was no fucking quarterback drafted by Joe Shane, so you know your boy's coming back. Like, pathetic, bro. Pathetic.
All right, guys, listen, I can have you guys back on, but let me drop you 2 out because I want to drop 2 people back in, and I got to run through a lot of these comments real quick. So let me do that real quick. Make sure we get to everyone today.
Wow.
Yeah, you get dropped off, man. You're getting dropped off, man. I want to bring in Mr. McCormick, and I want to bring in Big Don P that was in there. But before I get to you guys, I want to run through some of these comments real quick here. Luke says, very classy way to acknowledge Joe Rev. Super chat. Yes, sir. You are a gentleman. Salute. Mr. Belfort said, I'm not impressed with this year's draft, but wait. We still don't have a franchise quarterback made by the Giants. Says, you haven't even talked about Phillips yet. We did. Cutthroat says, why does this organization love mediocre players? Because you know what we hear, guys? And I hear this all the time now. These guys are culture guys. This came out multitudes of times that these guys are culture guys. Alan says, don't worry, Tim. We still have Dane Belton. Oh, dear Lord. Head coach Dave. Big coach Dave is in his house as well. Let's see. Mr. Samuel says, Jones lost 40-0 in the first game against a divisional rival. Can anyone please watch Jones last year and think he's going to be anything but mediocre? Chris says it's the 70s all over again. Barbara says the clock is starting on Shane and Dable. Ticky tock, ticky tock, ticky tock. Nicholas says B- is generous. OG says, you notice JJ McCarthy was happy as hell that the Giants didn't draft and his organization sucks. While every team played this year is better than us. Plus, they have a quarterback and they don't have Daniel Jones. Dump off master. Lol, can't make this stuff up. I swear. Nick also says, I don't want to hear anything about no weapons or anything else. No excuses. I love Davey says, Mr. Sir. Yes, Mr. Online Big Blue. Sir. Let's see. Exactly. This is why I watch you. Well, thank you. Jones two times. Barbara says the Giants are losing longtime fan downs. NY Sports Talk. If Joe Shane doesn't select a quarterback in the upcoming years, the next GM will do. All my hopes rest on Archie Manning now because of that great game that he had. Good morning from R0B. Neighbors was not a reach. Quarterback was a reach. Really ask Atlanta, who literally traded up to get their guy. Sir, yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. McCormick. This is Mr. McCormick right now. I'm not gonna read your chat because you're right there. Glenn, what's up? People real talk think about Drew Lock is better than Daniel Jones. I think he's better than Daniel Jones. Let's look like a tired Phil. He looks like a tired Phil Donahue. I don't know who that is. But okay. OG says, I'm so sick of the Jones that I pulled my Drew Lock to beat him out for the starting quarterback job. OG says, I bet Michael Pratt can be better than Jones for real. Mr. Tim, good podcast today. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, a lot of people like the rants. It's hard to do the rants, guys. But I got a lot of people saying, great rant. Don't forget Paris Campbell. Bet the Eagles turn him into a productive player. Let's see here. We also got, fixing the quarterback position in the first round and drafting wide receiver and having wide receiver draft in the second round would make more sense. Buy Barkley on buy McKinney. Let's go, Big Blue. Good morning, says Daryl, Tim, and OBB family. It's going to be another year of me having no hope and no expectations. O-line still sucks. I just added that. Zero Dark 30 is just having a good time. Mara found in a seedy motel with Daniel Jones. That was just wrong, but true. Good morning. Everyone's saying good morning to Barbara. Let's see here. Thank God I live. Thank 7791 says, thank God I live in Houston. What do we got here? Miguel says, what we need is accountability with the coaches, development players. It's too much to ask for 31st, 25th, and the O-line to play. I think you're right. Let's see here. Pimp name Slickback. I just saw on my ESPN radio. They said John Mayer is hurting his future fan base. Is really bad 15 years. We have an entire generation that doesn't know football, good giant football. We're losing those fans. Jonathan said you should have taken at those picks. It's one of those we were so bad. Not drafting Haynes as a third was the only questionable thing I saw. And we got to everybody. We didn't get to everyone, but I just wanted to make sure. Here we go. I got last one. I love this chat room. Stream is filled with a bunch of GMs that have no jobs. You know what? I have a job. You know what my job is?
Get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Get the fudge out. Mr. McCormick, Big Don. Big Don, you got your Syracuse shirt on, so you're just muted just for having a Syracuse shirt on. That's why you're muted already. Because if I got to hear about Floyd Little and Jim Brown and Ernie Davis, but I'm going to tell you one thing: Jim Brown was a better lacrosse player than he ever was a running back at Syracuse.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he actually was. That's what I call Syracuse history, man. Sitting up there in Flint Hall, going up the bridge, going, yeah, he's a better lacrosse player.
Terrible.
What's up, Big Don?
Okay, you already. Sorry for the late coming in here. I'm agitated. Got me working harder than I even want to do today. So let's go down the line real quick. You already know how I feel. I told you I could not wait for today, especially after, like everybody's talking about, we got a safety that's only 2 years younger than McKinney, which is hilarious.
He played 5 years.
Everybody kept complaining about, hey, we don't want all these older players because it doesn't make sense. Yet all these guys are drafting their guys who went through the COVID year. So, of course, they're going to have that extra year or two automatically added with age. And then let's not even talk about how he's better at zone coverage than man. And all I can think about is, so nobody's gonna guard, so nobody's gonna take on the tight ends and running backs again. Now that McKinney's gone, so guess what? Throw that in the air.
His best position is going to be the 8th in the box guy. So he's going to be like a Logan Ryan and a Peppers from the Patrick Graham defense.
Then don't forget you.
I'm not saying he's going to be good, but I think that's the philosophy for him. He's more of a linebacker.
Well, and we've seen how that worked out pretty well when Landon Collins got flipped to linebacker. How we just got annihilated by tight ends and running backs. SB is flicking his chops right now because he's like, you drafted this guy? He's going to take me on in the flat? Oh, then we got a corner, Tim. Look at my eye, Tim. A corner. No interceptions. Once again, bad at man. 67% catch rate. I'm sorry, this seems really familiar again that we're drafting guys that can't do man or are going to do zone, but they're getting caught all the time. So that tells me there are two things. Either you trailing or you just have no ball skills at all where you can't hit the ball out of their hands. If you can't get a pick, at least give me pass deflections. Give me something. You're giving me a very high catch rate. And that's my rant for the day 2. That's my rant for day 2.
I liked your rant for day 2. I wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to come in. I'm going to drop you out because I want to talk to Mr. McCormick. I got some other people that want to come in as well. But every time I see the big guy, I got to bring you, bro. Hope your work day is going well. Hope you're taking it as easy. You'll
hear about it today. You'll hear about it today. I'll send you some pictures of your big license plate that I've seen again.
I want to see it, man. Text me later. I'll be around all day. All right,
See
we're done. Mr. McCormick, how you doing, brother? How you doing?
I'm okay, but when the
You
draft
look like you're going to be the voice. You look like you're going to be the voice of reason. You look like you're going to be the voice of rationale.
I don't know about that because when the draft was going on, I had to pick my wife up from work, so I had to pick up the draft in my car, and I'm driving to pick up my wife, and the Giants pick comes up, and like this rage of emotion just came through me. I said, just pick JJ McCarthy. I don't care at this point. Pick a quarterback. Come on, let's go. And when they drafted, the wide receiver, all the rage just came out of me. I was just angry the entire night. I picked up my wife. She said, "What's wrong with you?" And I didn't say anything. She wanted something from Popeyes, so I get something from Popeyes from her. Long story short, I cursed at the person at Popeyes because they didn't have shrimp. I said, this organization's a joke. And I wasn't talking about Popeyes. I was talking about the Giants. So whoever's working at Popeyes, they got called a joke. It's not your fault. Something just came over me. I was just really angry, and I didn't know how to.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, I just didn't know how to take it. It just happened. But to all the fans, when we finish last in division, what's going to be the excuse this time? What's going to be the excuse? Will Dable get the blame this year? He's up for blame. He's next to the chopping block.
If you go by Giant protocol, we've talked about this before, and we've seen this with 2 regimes now. First thing you do is you fire a coach, like a offensive line coach. Then next year you fire coordinators. And then the next year you fire the head coach, and then the next year you fire the general manager. We've watched this. We've watched this with Jerry Reese. We watched it with Gettleman. That's just a modus operandi.
And that needs to change. Something just needs to change. Every team gets better. Every team knows when their quarterback isn't working out, and they move on. I kept getting these excuses from these before the draft of these Daniel Jones apologists saying, "Oh, well, we paid him $40 million." It's like, so what was Denver paying Russell Wilson? They moved off of him quick. That's just how it happens. Like when the guys are not working out, it doesn't matter what they did in the past, or like you have to take into account everything, what they're going to do in the future, what this person means. Are we going to win a championship with this guy? If the answer is no, then you don't have your guy. Like they didn't give him a contract beyond this year, and they know why. So why not draft someone, have him sit, have them cook for a little while and then put them out there. The Packers have done this for years and it's always worked for them. Why can't we just become that organization that just has great quarterbacks, knows how to pick them, knows how to develop them, and, knows how to build around them. You don't take a wide receiver and build around a wide receiver. That wide receiver is not like this guy's not going to come in and all of a sudden Daniel Jones is going to become a great quarterback and throws 30 touchdowns. That's not going to happen. It never happens. Ever.
Hold on 1 second. Rob, I literally thought you were doing something else.
No, it's an inhaler.
I know what it is. I literally thought you were doing something else. I'm like, dude, that's probably not what you should be doing with that. That's not, yeah, okay. I'm watching this like, Rob, this isn't fan only or whatever. All I know, guys, I'm watching.
So I understand.
I'm watching Rob doing this and I'm only seeing half the screen. I'm watching Rob doing this. I'm like, and I only see half the screen because I got Mr. Cormack on the screen. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing over there? I'm sorry, Mr. McCormick. I just had to get that out.
No problem whatsoever. I definitely understand. I understand that it's pollen season. Even here in Texas, it's terrible out here.
No, I had COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You did have COVID.
I'm pretty sure it's COVID.
Wait, you didn't get diagnosed. You're just guessing you had COVID.
I'm like 90. I'm like.
Then sit the fuck over there. If you don't tell me you had COVID. Oh dear Lord, Rob. Come on, you walked into that one.
I know.
Listen,
I've had COVID 4 times, so I know it was COVID.
4th time is the charm.
Yeah.
And there's Rob. There's Rob. I have COVID.
Yeah, I got COVID.
I'm not doing this. My hands are growing hair, but that's why I'm doing this. I have COVID.
Yeah, I've got COVID. Yeah, okay.
Facts. No, I mean, look, I don't think McCormick was look. You don't build around a wide receiver,
No.
and so the thing about all of this here, and people could say, "Oh, you're crybabies," and "Oh, you're negative," and "Oh, you're this or that." Look, we drafted Odell Beckham, right? It was nice for a few years. He put up some really good stats, was a really good player, and we got rid of him, right? Everybody says that Odell extended Eli Manning's career, right? Eli was going to the back end of his career. Odell got there and extended Eli's career. They had a chance to pivot in 2018. They had a chance to pivot. They could have drafted Josh Allen. They could have drafted Lamar Jackson. They could have drafted Baker Mayfield if they wanted to, maybe potentially. They could have drafted a quarterback in 2018. And they did exactly what we did. Because at that point in 2018, Barkley was the best draft prospect in that draft. Was one of the top draft prospects in 2018. And they went ahead and they took the top prospect instead of reaching, like people would say, for a Lamar Jackson, reaching for a quarterback like Josh Allen that went in that draft. And now look at where those players are. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are top 5 quarterbacks in this league. They both have lucrative contracts. They've been in conference championship games. Lamar is a 2-time not Super Bowl, but 2-time NFL MVP.
League MVP.
League MVP. Like, Josh Allen is getting votes from Vegas every year that he's a favorite to win MVP. So it's like, with those reaches, they weren't. So at the end of the day, the Giants had an opportunity here to change the course of their organization. And I see people on the timelines and people posting saying, "Oh, he didn't force a quarterback pick." What are you looking for? What is this, Love is Blind? That you're sitting behind a fucking wall talking with somebody and you got to find out, oh man, do I really love this person? We really got a lot in common. Like listening to Joe Shane talk, like, dude, this isn't a fucking dating app, bro. Like, you don't got to like find out all of these great things. At the end of the day, if you're a good GM and you've got a good coach, you should be able to get the best out of players, regardless of whatever the case may be. If they struggle to read defenses, guess what, Brian Dable? Fix
You
that
make them
shit.
better at it.
Make them better at it. If they struggle with footwork, guess what, Brian Dable? You fix that shit. If they have slight characteristic issues.
I got to stop you there because there's certain things you can't fix. They always say, the old phrase is you can't fix stupid. And I'm not saying anyone's stupid. I'm saying that's the old expression.
Yeah.
Reading defenses, you can't fix. You can make someone maybe more adequate at it. Yes. Having better pocket awareness, better pocket presence, that's a feel. That's something you can't fix. That's the way you play the game. That's your feel for the game. That's your awareness. That's something you can't. Footwork, yes, you can fix. Having a better throwing motion, maybe throwing over the top a little bit more, not being such a sidearm thrower, that you can fix. But we've seen that when they fix those things on certain quarterbacks, their accuracy actually gets worse because they have been throwing this way since Pop Warner. So sometimes you just get a player like a Daniel Jones, who he is what he is. And we've seen it 5 years now. He is a guy with zero pocket awareness, zero pocket presence, has the inability to read defenses, has the inability to recognize certain coverages, has issues at times recognizing who is the open man outside of throwing to a spot on a one read. And we have, when he is presented with a designed deep shot, last year especially, when more than likely it was the first read, he doesn't even look, he checks down. And then we sit there and we talk about all these wide receivers that have come here that make him better. You start with Waller, Paris Campbell, Kadarius Toney, Wandale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Evan Ingram, Golden Tate, Kenny G. Those are 8 guys that we brought in to make him better at what he does. But the problem is this: I can draw. I am a fairly adequate artist. I am not a Picasso. And no amount of work, no amount of practice, no amount of reading books, no amount of someone going to classes to train me artistically is going to make me any better at that. I just am what I am because that is my talent level.
Yeah.
So when people are always like, Dable can coach him up. No, you can coach up what you have. If you have a ball of silly putty, there's only so much you can do with that ball of silly putty before you run out of options.
Yep.
And you would have thought by year 6, when every other you look at the other team in the other building, in the same amount of time, they've gone through Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still literally on the same guy doing the same thing and expecting different results. And we all know what that is referred to as.
Yeah. And if I could add, and just a quick comment, anybody who thinks that Shedeur Sanders is coming to the Giants, Deion Sanders already said that Shedeur is not coming to New York.
No,
so
he's already there's a list of 6 teams that he wants to send.
Yeah. So get that out of your head because he ain't coming here. That's number one. Number two, let me give you guys an example. I think Malik Neighbors is a good talent that I think will put up statistics and be impactful regardless of who's throwing him the football. Let me give you another example from this draft. Theo Johnson out of Penn State. The knock on him was athletic, freakish talent, didn't have the numbers in college for the time that he played there. And now everybody's hype about this guy, right? 6'6", ran a 4.5, athletic, whatever. This is a guy right now that is not going to, in my opinion, is not going to show like, man, we got a real steal at 107 due to the fact of who's throwing him the football. And I'll give you an example. Look at last year and look how Daniel Jones did not utilize a guy like Darren Waller. When Darren Waller came here, he was a top 5 tight end in the National Football League. When he came here, top 5 talent. The guy was not used. Now, I get it. He was hurt. But like the Seahawks game, you got him wide open in the backfield. He's 6'6". you got to throw him those type of balls. And he did not utilize them. Utilize him over the middle. Let him use up the sidelines. He did not do that. What makes fans think that Daniel Jones is going to use Theo Johnson in a way that he didn't even use Darren Waller? And that's the thing. Now, if you said, you know what? Say Theo Johnson was drafted to the Cowboys, I think he would absolutely showcase his capabilities because Dak is going to throw him the ball. When you go and you look at some of Theo Johnson's highlights on how that quarterback, I think it's, what's his name? Derek Alar or Drew Alar or whatever it is, a quarterback at Penn State. When you look at some of the passes that he threw, Theo's in double coverage. He threw with anticipation. He threw it in the corner of the back of the end zone. Daniel doesn't make those throws. So all of these content creators, all of these people on the timeline, I'm not shitting on Theo Johnson. He's probably good value maybe at that pick. But are we even going to see this guy develop into something good? And that's the problem. Wando Robinson could be a good player. Are we going to actually get the best out of him because of who's throwing them the football?
Does anyone remember back in 2012? And I know it's a while ago because, you know, we like to bring up things here because I thought it was interesting. 2012, the Giants took a tight end in the fourth round. No, in the fourth round in 2012 out of Cincinnati, 127th pick.
Is that Travis Beckham?
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Adrian Robinson. He was the guy people that remember.
Oh, I remember Adrian Robinson.
The freak of nature. He was
like 6'5", like really fast or some shit.
Tight end god at 6'4", 265 pounds. He was going to revolutionize the position because of the fact that he was this Adonis, this Greek god out of Cincinnati, who was going to show the league how he could with Eli Manning
out of Cincinnati.
He was waived in 2025. 2015. He was waived in 2000 after really doing nothing.
3 years later.
3 years later, we're doing nothing with the Giants.
Yeah,
bro. People said that about Travis Beckham.
Travis Beckham had one touchdown in his entire Giant career. Was again that athletic? No, but Adrian Robbins was the Adonis. People were like, look at that guy. He's the Adonis.
And look, and here's the thing, too. Here's the thing. People thought Evan Ingram was going to be something special, and he had a lot of talent. Came to us. He did some things. Goes to Jacksonville with a real quarterback. Puts up 1,000.
He had a great year with Eli. He had a really good year.
He did have a good year.
Yeah. He had a good year with Eli, and then he had one with Jones.
He had the second most receptions by a tight end in NFL history.
And he had 1,000 yards receiving, bro, with a different team.
but just remember, he's Mr. Butterfingers. Everyone calls him Butterfingers. Oh, he sucks. He's Butterfingers.
And you know what's funny about that? Here. You know
what's funny about that? Learns his security blanket. That's what make sure everyone's hitting the chat like button. Mr. McCormick, I'm gonna drop you off because I want to talk to Rob for a few minutes, and I gotta burn through this chat, so I want to make sure we get to everyone. And thank you again for coming to Mr. McCormick. It's always good. Let me run through some of these chats, Rob, because I got to get to these people. Let's see. Ohio says, I can't wait to see how Shane tries to get us out of the negative $20 million in debt. Yeah, well, we're not going to talk about that. Let's see. The Jinx can get good meme materials for me, at least for one reason why I follow y'all, to hear how badly the idiots Giants did. I'm not saying they did terrible in the draft, Rob. I give it a solid B-. I
give it a C+.
I give it a B- because maybe I'm grading on a curve, but I see some value. I mean, like I said, if you are going to take and make this kid the safety, you're going to make him an in the box guy. That makes more sense to me. He's not going to be a freewheeling safety that's going to be covering the tight end or the running back. If he's as slow as foot as some people say, and has terrible footwork as some people say, he is athletic, but he could be almost, like I said, he could be like a Logan Ryan. He could be like a Peppers in the Patrick Graham defense. He could, where they played 100% of the snaps for that year for Patrick Graham, and something like 50% of those snaps were in the box. They say he's going to be an 8 guy. He's going to be an 8 guy. He's going to be the 8th guy in the box. I would say his ceiling potentially could be
when he was in his prime, Kevin Byard in Tennessee.
Okay.
Because Kevin Byard played in the box. He could play over the top.
Kevin Byard was not a bad player in Tennessee.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't a bad player.
I would say I would say that if he can get to that level, then it's a W. It's a good draft pick.
Right. Tyler Newman, like I said, if he could be, I don't want, honestly, I don't want him to be a starter day one unless he plays light.
He will be.
I know he will be.
You know, it's the Giants. Come on now. He'll be a starter.
I'm still waiting for Yusef Corker to be a starter. But if he is a starter day one, then I'm okay. But like with Phillips, though, your point, you went and got a guy who is a little bit, he's taller, he's a little bit slight of build. He is known for his coverage. He's not known to stick his head in the pile to make the tackle. He has an issue, to poor Don's point, that he doesn't come up with the ball. His ball hawking skills are extremely limited, and he is going to excel more, they're saying, in the slot. But we already have two guys that are doing that. We already have Cordell Flott and Darnay Holmes.
And now Andrew Phillips.
I mean, I look at that pick and I shake my head a little bit. And then, like I said, Tyrone State, what's his name? Tracy. He was a wide receiver for 3-4 years. And then he finally switched over that final year to
running back.
He
played running back the last 2 years.
He's got a 6.5 average. He's a bigger back. Well, but he's also kind of new to the position. And I don't really like when guys change positions in college at the end of their career, because it really tells me they're just trying to get their ass on the field. And then you take a smallish, slow linebacker who's undersized, because you need a running mate for, and you could say it could be McFadden, but McFadden, people forget, got benched last year. And McFadden has one of the worst tackle ratios. And
did McFadden get benched last year?
He got benched last year for about 2 games. In other words, his snap count went down from like 60 to 40.
Who took over for him? Isaiah?
Yeah. It was Isaiah Simmons and some other people. So he also had one of the worst tackle ratios. And he missed the most amount of tackles at his position as a starter in the league. So there are some flags there. So you still need a running mate for Bobby Okereke. And like we talked about before, in some of these picks, Rob, I don't see it being, because everyone talks about it. 6, you got to go best player available. Well, I don't think in regards, a lot of these guys were best player available on the board when they were picked, but they were picked positionally because it was a need, but it's not a reach.
Yeah. Look, the Theo Johnson pick was taken because obviously, and he even admitted to it. He's like, yeah, we needed to address it. Right. We're unsure about Darren Waller. Okay, so you picked for a need when you had Brandon Dorless you had Brandon Dorless available, but I think, or something like that, or whatever. Maybe that was pick 70 or what. Like, I don't know, dude.
I think he was already gone.
So I think he was gone by 107, but at 70, like, you could have taken Brandon Dorless instead of taking Andrew Phillips. You could have taken a running back. You could have taken Blake Corum. You could have taken, Trey Benson or something like that. Like, you could have done that. And instead you took, I think Trey Benson was gone, but you could have taken Blake Corum. Like, you didn't do that. Like, so nothing against Tracy. Look, the guy, I think he led in yards per carry, the SEC or whatever he was in last year. I think he led with I think it was 8.4 or something like that or whatever. He doesn't have the mile trade on him like other running backs do. I know he's 25.
But I was going to say, but to your point again, all these guys, not all of them, I shouldn't paint with such a broad brush. We always heard about how old Penix was and how old this guy is, but all the guys that we are taking or we took are guys that have played in college for like 5 years. They're coming out 24, 25 years old. Usually a lot of these players at this age are in the league for already 3 years.
And I think the thing about that though, and I was thinking about it, I don't know how much I can hate on that because it wasn't because they were in college. It's due to COVID.
I'm not hating, but I'm bringing the point that you're saying this, but that was the slight against Michael Penix.
Yeah.
So you can't have it both ways.
Like, Michael Penix probably would have came out last year right? But I think he went back because he had the COVID year.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
he went back, which was smart.
So
which was their plan.
which was smart. Like he could have, but he could have came out. He could have came out last year. Some of these guys, I think one of these guys, like Caleb Williams, could have came out not last year if he wanted to. He could have came out last year. He chose to go back. You know, like a lot of these guys, because they had that COVID year, they chose to go back to school. Drake May, Penix, Caleb, Jaden Daniels, like they chose to go back to school because they had that COVID year, right? So that really fucked up a lot of things. Because
but unlike Tracy's been in college since 2019. So he didn't get fucked up by the COVID year. He's been in college. He's been in college since Daniel Jones has been in the league.
It's true.
So, and like I said, I have there were other running backs on the board. Most people had him projected as the 19th ranked running back in this draft. I think there were other running backs available that made sense. But the thing you always hear now, we heard this with Jerry Reese and we heard this with Dave Gettleman. He's a good culture guy. And we heard that about the picks yesterday about Joe Shane. He's a good, these are good. They're not only good players, they're good culture guys. I've said it a million times before, guys. I'd rather have an asshole who could read a defense.
I'll tell you what, though, Malik Neighbors don't look very happy.
Malik Neighbors does not look happy at all.
He does not look happy, bro.
Bad for the
like
kid.
people on the timeline and shit like that. They can be like, "Oh, you're reading too much into it."
No.
Nah, bro. No, I'm sorry. Like
when he was at that
dude,
press
no.
conference in his jersey, it literally did look like he was being held hostage.
Bro, like, I'm sorry, dude, but like, if you get with a girl and your boys come up to you and be like, "Yo, man, are you good? Like, how come, like, you don't like this girl? Like, why aren't you all happy? You know, this girl's all over you. You're not really looking all happy or whatever." Like, you can see that shit. So I don't like it when I hear people on the fucking timeline, "Oh, you're reading too much into it." Nah, bro. Nah. Like, you can tell by fucking body language. You like that dude ain't happy about his situation. And he's got, like, the dude said himself, like, and then you got that with this one girl, the fucking reporter, she's stupid fucking bitch, bro.
Hey,
that's
not
sorry.
Nice. That's
sorry.
not nice. Take it back. That's not nice.
Sorry, I take it back. But it was a stupid fucking question. It was like, "Oh, I know you haven't really met him, but what do you think about Daniel Jones as a quarterback?" Like, why would you ask him that fucking question? Like, why ask him that question for?
He calls him whatever he called him, Bombay Joe.
He called him. Yeah, I talked to Daniel Jones, and
could you at least get the quarterback's name right?
Look, could you get his name right? Like,
I would tell people the telltale sign was when he was doing the live stream with Caleb. I mean, Caleb Williams was talking to him at the draft. And he's like, "Yeah, you want to go with Herbert, you want to go with the Duck, man. You want to go to the Chargers." And then he goes, "Or you're gonna end up in that place, New York, with what's that quarterback's name?" And all you see is
turned it off.
Turn it off.
Or when he was on with Josina Anderson, and he was like, I'm sure, I know they're gonna have, they got a quarterback situation. They're gonna figure it out because I'm sure if they get a playmaker like me, they're gonna want to get me the ball. Bro, like, I'm sorry, dude. Like,
well,
look,
the other thing is the kid was shopping for houses in LA.
He
was shot, and this is this isn't a rumor. This was confirmed that the kid was shopping for houses.
Bro, he was on Instagram Live touring a house in LA. And the realtor was like, "We can have," he goes, "Yeah, let's go look at some more houses." He's like, "I may get something down here." Bro, I'm telling you.
I'm going to go play with the Duck. Let's get to these chats. I keep saying it. Matt says, "Don't mean to be cutting DJ today. I mean before next year." No, we can't cut DJ. Let's see. My neighbors played with Jim Brown in lacrosse. Had some stories. Oh, I forgot about the lacrosse story. Cutthroat said, "It's Sunday morning. Doesn't he expect everyone to be at work?" McKinney wanted too much money. 17 million, not worth it. Well, he's getting 7.8, I think, this year. Then he gets to 17 next year. But
he got like 25 million guaranteed this year.
Yeah, guaranteed. But he got a signing bonus, so his cap number is he's only 7.8 million this year. So we have to remember that because that could easily fit under the salary cap for the New York Football.
I believe that's Darren Waller. Darren Waller's salary this year.
6.9 million. Cut
Actually, think about it like this really quick though. That's $7 million. That's Darius Slayton. If they would have cut or traded Darius Slayton, they free up $6 million. That would have covered them for McKinney this year.
There's the money. I think the Giants did a good job in the draft, except for the last pick. That was a reach, them not drafting a quarterback. Don't worry, guys. Everyone has us taking Sanders next year. Surely everything between now and next March will go that way. Where's Big James at? He's around here somewhere. Davey says, Matthew, I remember Ryan I always forget how to say his name. Nasbid. You have a kid from Syracuse. Yes. He was a waste of space. If Drew Lock was in this quarterback draft class, where would he have been ranked? If Drew Lock was in this quarterback class, he would probably be ranked around like 15, 16, I would think, to be perfectly honest.
It would have been the 7th quarterback. The Raiders would have taken him.
The Raiders would have taken him. The Giants are the only ones that don't see it, and they never do. Andre says, we can't even win the division with DJ. What's up, my brother? How's it going? Everything's going well. How you doing, my friend? Everything's going good, I think. You know what's unbelievable? Joe Shane and Brian Dable will get fired knowing they never once drafted the quarterback. Does that make sense to anyone? Does that really make sense to anyone? That's
I don't know. Depending on who you talk to on the timeline, they're going to get 5 years.
Does that make sense? The fact that in 3 years now, in 3 drafts, and and with 20 plus picks, let's say, you've never even you never even sniffed a quarterback. You never even said, "Hey, listen, let's just take a flyer on this guy because we need to do something." Literally, New England, who knows they need a quarterback, took 2. Yeah, they took the project guy and Joe Milton, but they also took Drake May. So Joe Milton, this could be the Heath Schuler, Gus Frerotte type scenario draft, or even the RG3 Kirk Cousins thing. Not that I'm saying it's going to be that way, but I'm just saying it's interesting that certain teams understand if you're going to win in this league, there's one thing you need:
a quarterback.
No, heart. You gotta have heart. All you need is heart.
What are you, the coach from fucking The Replacements? Heart. Miles and miles of heart.
Miles and miles of heart. You know what? I would take Shane Falco right now. I would take a fictional quarterback over Daniel Jones. That's how bad this is. Give me Shane. Give me Footsteps Falco out of Ohio State. Give me Johnny Utah. I would take the kid from Little Giants. That's how bad that is.
Oh, what's that fucking guy? That kid's name? That was the quarterback for the Little Giants.
I can't remember.
He wore Phil Simms' number.
He wore Phil Simms' number. Oh my God! Did you see on the timeline this? I literally turned off Twitter because people are too stupid. That people are saying that Daniel Jones is either as good or better than Phil Simms.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
That's basically what I did. That's basically what I did.
Fucking idiots, bro.
I
saw something like that. They're like, Daniel Jones is probably like Phil Simms. It took him 4 years to get good.
At this point in his career, he's just as good as not better. And I had to remind them that when Phil Simms retired in '94, he was in the top 15 of almost every single NFL passing record. Had a Super Bowl, was driving him to another Super Bowl when he got hurt in Buffalo until the Hostetler thing. So technically he has 2 Super Bowl rings, a Super Bowl MVP, and he had first Giant to throw for over 4,000 yards. He also had a Pro Bowl MVP, which means nothing. I know that. But this is a guy that literally, when he retired, was in the top 15 of every single NFL passing category. Threw for over 33,000 yards, 199 touchdowns. Could add more. He got cut after he tore his labrum, and he was going to go to Cleveland with Belichick after he just had an All-Pro Pro Bowl season the year before, but instead he retired. So he could have had even better stats, but Kenny Stabler's in the Hall of Fame. The likes of Troy Aikman are in the Hall of Fame, but poor Phil Simms is still sitting there, and then he gets compared to Daniel Jones. Dude, that's why there's a Phil Simms helmet sitting over there. Full-size Phil Simms helmet sitting over there. Douglas says, hey, Tim, how did you like the draft? I like Neighbors and the tight end we draft. I like Neighbors. I like my neighbor. No, actually, I don't like my neighbor. Let's see. It's almost criminal to go into a quarterback-heavy draft with no backup options and half-ass go all in on the guy that you really wanted. Let's see. You probably don't realize the owner is our main problem. No, I realize it. I realize Mr. John Mayer is the main problem. Although I thought I'm afraid that Neighbors is going to keep GJ there for 10 years. That's the other thing, Rob, people keep talking about. That Neighbors could save Daniel Jones's. I mean, first of all, I don't see it because I heard the same thing about Waller. I heard
Oh my God, are we doing this again?
I heard the same thing. This? Every guy we ever bring in that he could save Daniel Jones's career. I'm gonna give everyone a hint, and I'm gonna say it slow for the people that are in the back. Daniel Jones sucks. That's it. That's the commentary of the day. You could put Jesus at wide receiver, and Daniel Jones would still underthrow him. Okay, that's just what he is.
We're going to start to hear these things that Malik Neighbors is going to do for Jones what OBJ did for Eli. Give me a fucking break.
Well, I love it now. All the DJ fans are back out again. I love that because we'll see how long that lasts. But I love it because someone sent me, and we talked about it earlier enough here. Someone sent me something from Fisk Vegas, and I thought he quit. But he posted something on Twitter, and I laughed because I'm like, this is Fisk Vegas, the biggest Daniel Jones lover I thought in the existence of the world. And his tweet was basically, what's going to be your guys' excuse when Daniel Jones overthrows Malik Neighbors? Now, first thing I thought there was something wrong with the tweet because it should have been, what's going to be your excuse when he underthrows Neighbors, not overthrows. But even someone like that, it's like, okay, if he sees it, how does other people look at this and go, oh yeah, this is going to be good. It's not like he's had an ACL and 2 neck injuries in 3 years, but he's not injury prone. Saquon Barkley is.
Yeah, I know. and here's the thing, bro. Let me say this. I see people, and I'm gonna name drop, and when I'm name dropping, I'm not dissing these people, but I'm just trying to, I want to educate and I want to make you guys understand something. You got guys, and I'm going to read you guys a tweet from Dan Schneier, who does Big Blue Banter. Big pick, 30,000 foot view. It's clear Giants GM Joe Shane and head coach Brian Dable don't have a wins mandate for 2024. Just look at how they drafted. I say to that, good. We don't want to mortgage the future for fleeting immediacy. We experienced that with Dave Gettleman enough. Let me say this to you guys, and this is kind of what I responded to him. Joe Shane has been here for 3 years. We have blown through cap, 20-plus draft picks. Tibbs, hit. Banks, hit. Wandell, I'll say a hit. Guys like Belly, McFadden, Flott, still have more to prove. Evan Neal, bust. Izudu, bust. Right? Bobby O, you could say he's a hit, but he had 1 year. Let's see what he does. But right now, I'll give him to you a hit. We have blown through cap, draft picks, and we are nowhere near closer to competing in this division than before they got here. I'm sorry, but to sit here and
Rob. Did you bring it in Wawa?
No, she brought me McDonald's. She brought me coffee.
Dunkin' Donuts, always good. Okay, what are we eating though? Shut up! I want to know what we're eating.
I have a McGriddle.
Oh, McGriddle, those are good.
And I have a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin.
Oh, those are good. McGriddle is good. My son experienced the McGriddle a couple of weeks back, and he thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
It is. I love McGriddles.
They put syrup in the pancake and then put an egg on it. I got one thing to say to the comment though, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I got one thing to say I find interesting, which people seem to overlook, and whoever this tweet was, you just overlooked, or he overlooked. When the Giants won that first year the Giants won with Dable and with Shane. If you really wanted to be analytical about it, whose roster was that really?
Dave Gettleman's.
Oh. So the guy that it was his quarterback, it was his running back. It was most of his defensive picks. So
His left tackle, his D
left
tackle.
Lives D tackle. I mean, so yeah, his safety and McKinney. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who really was the architect.
If you want to be honest,
of that first win.
If you want to be honest, I'll do you one better. The offense that we were running that year was almost the same offense that Jason Garrett was running the year before. If they would have kept everybody and just put Wink on that team in 2022, we would have made the playoffs.
Right.
I believe that. I believe that if they kept everybody in place and just hired Wink in 2022, that we would have made the playoffs.
Yeah. I actually don't disagree with that. I literally actually don't disagree with that. But like I said, to your point, you basically won with Gettleman guys. And then your biggest claim to fame was you re-signed Gettleman guys.
Yep.
Because they're all like, well, look at the roster. Well, yeah, the roster you built was off of Gettleman. What do we got here? Don't worry, Sanders will save us. A 6-year quarterback is a finished product, says Todd. That's actually true. Missed my sarcasm. I didn't miss your sarcasm.
You nitpick. I profess your warning, sarcasm, warnings.
I missed the button.
That's what she said.
Let's see here. Johnson is a slacker. He doesn't love football. I don't know about that. Pale Rider, it's been a long time since I've seen you. It looked like every team in our division has improved except us, hoping every fucking year. I know it's always hope. It's hopium. Bobby says, does anyone know who the guy is talking? Does anyone know who the guy is talking now? Does anyone know who the guy is talking now? What? I don't know. What's happening, T-Dog? No, it's no longer T-Dog. It's Mr. Online Big Blue. Sir, I need the same respect that John Mara gets, or Mr. John Mara gets. I need the same respect. Who is the guy in the middle? Oh, that was Mr. McCormick. What about Ramsey Barton? Remember Dave Brown? I remember Derek Brown. Yes, I do remember Derek Brown. Travis Beckham. Yeah, we talked about JPP. He was going to be the I love that he was the JPP of tight ends. That was Beckham. Hard to catch a ball when it's overthrown. Ingram made some plays with Eli, but dropped too many passes. Jay Ham says, hey, Tim and the gang, Giants need a quarterback. Damn it. Jay Fed said, couldn't get on board trading up for 3 first-rounders. I reported. I didn't want to trade for 3 first-rounders, but I know, Rob, you did. I thought you thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
I know you thought that was a good idea. All I wanted was Joe Milton yesterday, says the big old James Williams. Everyone says, good morning, James. Let's go next. Let's see. You can't find tight end depth on the you can't find tight end depth on the street. Sometimes you can. Let's see here. You had the kid out of Notre Dame was available at the running back position. Yeah, I mean, you had guys available. They drafted a 25-year-old running back. Yes, they did. Howie Roseman grabs 2 first-round grabs 2 first-rated cornerbacks. Wow. Oh, my God. The Eagles draft. You got the kid out of Toledo, and then you got Cooper DeJean. I remember sitting at the bar when the Eagles drafted, and I was talking to Big L, and I said, watch the Eagles do something, because the Eagles always pull something out of their ass. Eagles' biggest issue last year was the secondary. And you could say, we talked about the Giants drafting for need and not taking best player available. The Eagles' need was their secondary. And for some unknown godly reason, not only did they draft the best player available at that point in time, but they just happened to be a corner and a corner/safety. I was like, what do we do wrong?
Bro, the Eagles.
What do we do wrong?
Other than the Bears, you could say the Eagles had one of the best drafts.
Best drafts. I think that's, you're right. I think outside of the Bears,
they got Quinyon Mitchell, you got Cooper DeJean, you got Jeremiah Trotter.
Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Yep.
Because there was a Jeremiah Trotter.
Which, you know what? I'm actually happy about that, because his dad was drafted, I believe, by Philadelphia back in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
I just remember when Jeremiah Trotter wrecked Eli Manning.
Oh Oh yeah, dude.
That his rookie year literally put his ass on the ground. Like he didn't even fucking see him. He had a Daniel Jones moment.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm running across the middle of the field. Now I'm laying on the ground.
So
the Giants wanted May, but the Patriots wouldn't budge. No, the Patriot. I love the one. Someone on Twitter posted
Justin Pennick.
No. Or maybe it was Justin Pennick. I don't know. I don't know who Justin Pennick is. I love the one comment about Joe Shane with his negotiating skills. And they're like, Joe Shane's at a car dealer, and the car dealer says, well, this car's 100,000. Joe Shane's, I'll give you 50. And
that was Sal. That
was great. The car dealer is like, no, it's 100,000. I'll give you 50. Well, no. Oh, I tried. I was like, oh my God. Matthew says what blows my mind is they trade their second pick for Burns. They didn't just draft another player at the position, keep the draft capital. What is wrong with Mara? That's Mr. John Mara. Nice. Rocky says the best nice guys finish last. Neighbors is saying Neighbors is saying this place is garbage. I like the neighbor. Like I said, I said the Giants should pick Neighbors. I said if the Giants don't take a quarterback, I did a whole video about it. I did 2 videos about it. I said the Giants don't take a quarterback. I think they should take Neighbors. Neighbors was my guy. Neighbors was my pick because of what Neighbors is. But I said if there wasn't a quarterback there, if there wasn't a quarterback available, and then you watch the scramble for the quarterback after 6. You literally watched it. You watched it unfold. Why? Because, I don't know, Rob and I have talked about this a million times before. There is what we like to refer to the most important position in sports. That's the quarterback. And if you don't take the bat off your shoulder and swing, you're never going to get a hit. And the Giants, since 2019, have not drafted in any round
a quarterback.
Not even a thought process. Hey, no, maybe we should cultivate a backup.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get a Jared Lorenzen. Maybe we should get a guy that's going to sit behind our quarterback, but at least he knows the system. At least he's learning. At least he may have talent. They tried it with Davis Webb. They tried it with Ryan Nesbitt. They tried it with other guys, but they tried. Yeah, it doesn't work out every time, but you tried. But since the 2019 draft, we have not even sniffed a quarterback. How crazy is that? If in the annals of sports, it's like not. You know what it's like, Rob? It's like not having 5 starting pitchers. We only need 1. We don't need the other 4 guys. We don't need a 5-man rotation. Screw that. We need 1 guy. Spawn insane and pray for rain. That's how old I am. I'm not that old. Not that old, but
they were in position to do so. Like the first draft, they could have taken Malik Willis, right? taking a shot at Malik Willis, right? I don't think anybody would have said you took Malik Willis in the 3rd round, like you expect him to be the starter. But that gives you, he would have gotten burned last year, right? If he was on the roster, he probably would have been your number 2 quarterback. You would have given him some burn last year and shit like that. Like, you never know what's going to happen. They haven't even tried, man. They haven't tried at all. And that's what's most disappointing. It's not necessarily that they took the best player available. It's that yet again, the 3rd year in a row for this organization, for this regime, and even the past regime, since Daniel Jones was drafted, this organization has not taken a swing on a quarterback in any round. Round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, nothing. That's just crazy.
We got 163 people. Don't forget the like button. We got 163 people watching on YouTube. Another 100-something people watching on Twitter. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. Come on, that helps the channel. I don't know how it helps the channel, but evidently it helps the channel. And if you want more of this garbage, then you gotta help the channel because we need all the fucking help we can get. We are the giants of YouTube. This channel right here. Why Rob comes on? I got no fucking clue. Oh, because nobody likes Rob. Rob's the only friend I have. Oh my God, someone help me. I have to get a new personality. It's nothing but love, man. Nothing but love. People understand I love Rob. People don't get it. They're like Dom. I love Dom. Yeah, my bastard out of Dom, but I love Dom. Nice guy. James Williams says, nice guys definitely finish last. Have to be a little bit of a jerk just so people don't walk over you. Bruce says, how does Shane evaluate all these quarterbacks over the past 3 years and not be able to justify drafting not one of them? Drew Lock loves to throw downfield. I've watched Drew Lock play. Drew Lock couldn't beat out Teddy Bridgewater, and he couldn't beat out Geno Smith twice. And James and I were sitting there in the Seattle game in the 20-something row on the 50-yard line, and we all cheered when Drew Lock came in. And then the defense gave up the run. The defense gave up the big pass. The defense just looked horrid against Drew Lock. And somehow Drew Lock had that 77-yard drive for the Giants. That's what everyone wants to talk about. Just like everyone wants to talk about Daniel Jones's game in Tampa in 2019. Made by Giants says Daniel Jones' story is the most disturbing story in the NFL history. How the blank did he get drafted in the first round and hold on to a starting position 6 years later? I'm going to go with photos. I love the tight end from Penn State. It's not that I don't love the tight end from Penn State. I'm just tired of taking these Adonis tight ends and then all of a sudden having them be garbage. Hey, Tim, I'm going to email you. I want to jump on the stream with you sometime this week. I would love to share my intellectual opinions. Well, make sure you email me, tim@onlineBigBlue.com. That's tim@onlineBigBlue.com. Barbara says the Raiders also had a dumb first round. I don't understand. The Raiders were always dumb. There's nothing wrong. Don B says Penix is going to be a Falcon. Hurt. I want to trade up and get him. Yeah, it is hurt. To me, it does hurt. So Bailey Zappi will be available soon. Woot woot. Harsh reality, says James. JJ and Penix are in the way better situations. The Jones had only 3,000 out of 2,300 out of 5 freaking years. Tim, how about Icebox? Oh, Icebox. I remember Ice Cube. Who was the Icebox, Rob?
That was Becky.
That was Beck. Okay, that's right. I remember Gerald the Ice Cube McNeil. Those idiots never saw Sims play. Then they never did. You think Tim Mara told the GM not to draft a quarterback? First of all, it's going to be Mr. John Mara. That's what you have to call him. I really mean it when I say I want to fight a Daniel Jones fan. No, we don't abdicate violence. No abdication of violence or anything. We don't do that here. Let's see. Made by Giants says DJ can throw 30 touchdowns. I want his ass gone. No, if he throws for 30 touchdowns, I'm not going to be upset. Mr. Belber said, I'm starting to believe the Giant fans are from the 1988 movies. They live and are really. Oh, They Live, first of all, is the greatest movie ever. If you haven't watched it, greatest science fiction movie ever. We have the.
I'm not super.
It's Daniel. Gentlemen, was bring.
No. What's yours?
Hear ye, hear.
I'm not super sick.
Wait.
It's Daniel. Gentlemen.
What's yours?
It's
This time.
I can use you was
Hail to the.
there we go.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Greatest movie ever with Roddy Piper and what's his name? David Keith. Had actually, people do not know this, one of the longest fight scenes in cinematic history in the movie They Live. Great movie. Great movie. I got him over there. I got guy Frank over there, his action figure from They Live, and we got he's around here somewhere. we have a Roddy Piper. I don't know. Phil Simms was the ever quarterback to throw for first. Yeah, he was. Phil Simms in 1984 was the very first quarterback to throw for over 4,000 yards in New York Giants history. Just so you know that Rob's got COVID. Rob's got a lot of problems.
Yeah, I got a lot of shit.
He's got a lot of issues. Joe Namath was the first quarterback to throw for. Yes, Joe Namath was, but Phil Simms was the first Giant quarterback in 1984 to throw for over 4,000 yards in New York Giant history. Mr. Fitness says, salute, Tim. What's going on? Everything's going well. Danny Slow Processor says, Sanders is the only stud quarterback coming out next year. I think the Giants will draft him anyways, but the Panthers will probably get the first overall again. I think the Giants are waiting for Archie Manning.
Hey, Danny, that picture you got there, that's going to be Daniel Jones's face when Malik Neighbors comes to the sideline and says, throw me the fucking ball, you asshole.
No, this is going to be his face. What? What? I play football? Oh.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we can get Harry Potter to be on the sideline so that, or Hermione Granger, so that when Jones throws the ball, we can go Wingardium Leviosa. and just carry it across the field so that we can hit Malik Neighbors down the field.
Oh my goodness.
He's throwing it with Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh my God. Stanley says Phillips is a solid pick because he's a great coverage guy and man in zone. Actually, he's more of a zone coverage guy. And he did not have an interception ever. I think if we go back to Pop Warner, I don't think he had an interception back there either. But that's okay. Getting after the ball as a cornerback and creating turnovers and interceptions. Oh, and he can't.
I would say from what I've seen, he does have good recovery speed.
Yes, he does have good recovery speed.
So if he gets beat on a move, he can actually catch back up. So
that's why I said good. I think he's a poor man's Max Melton. That's what I think. Same player. But and Max, of course, played in a much easier.
James, you're right. Harry Potter at least talked to girls.
What did he say?
He said, James, at least talk to girls.
Oh my God, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. They Live is fire. They Live was a great movie. I'd give the draft a B plus. It completely ignored not addressing quarterback, added to Brian Burns, didn't like and not addressing offensive lineman at all. And while I like Nubin, I don't like taking a safety in the second round. I don't mind taking a safety in the second round. I've always said this, and this isn't from me, guys. You don't take a safety in the top 10. We did a video over, I forgot how many years, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, that only like 4 safeties and since 2004 were taken in the top 10 because it's a positional value. And of course, those 4 safeties were very good players, but it's a positional value. That's why
even Brian Branch last year dropped into the second round.
Right. That's why you don't take a safety in the top 10. That's
unless you got like a Sean Taylor, Ed Reed type of prospect.
Sean Taylor, take a 5th overall, unless you got one of those guys that you know is going to be someone special. But this is like going back to 2004. This isn't me. I'm not saying this. I'm just telling you that's what the league says that you don't.
I don't even remember the last time a safety passed that time. Like I know Antrell Roll was taken, but he was a corner coming out. When the Cardinals drafted him, he was a corner. Tyrann Mathieu was a corner that converted to safety.
Well, and the Honey Badger had problems coming out of college.
Yeah. I don't remember other than Sean Taylor.
Last year, what was the kid 2 years ago from Baltimore? The safety.
Oh, Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton.
But he was taken late, though. Was he taken late?
No, he was taken later because everyone was like, the Giants should take him at 5 or 7. I said, no, you don't take a safety that high.
Because wasn't he taken like 14 or 15 or something?
He was taken around that time. Baltimore, another team that had a great draft. Baltimore, if you look at
they had another good draft. But as far as like you said, top 10 safety, Sean Taylor is probably the last one that I can remember. That's a safety and maybe there's somebody.
Sean Taylor, 5th overall to Washington.
That was the last time I remember a safety going in the top 10.
Yeah,
but I can remember.
It was like since 2004, there was like 3 or 4. I can't remember because we did. I have to look. I'll have Zach whenever he is look at the video and tell me because I don't remember. I did a video like 2 years ago. I did when Kyle Hamilton was coming out. That's when I did the video. That's all I remember. Cooper was available in the second round. Looks like where he ended up. Yeah, he was available in the second round. Nubin is the man. Nubin was the high. Okay, I will say this for Nubin. This is what I will say. He was in a weak safety class. He was the highest ranked safeties on most people's boards. And what I tried to explain to people, and we've said this before, Rob, free agency is a precursor to the draft. When certain positions in free agency get picked up, when certain money goes that way, it's because the NFL, not me, the NFL thinks that draft class is weak. Everyone saw all these safeties coming out and all these older safeties. And they're like, well, none of these guys are getting money. Well, they all got money. And Xavier McKinney, they all got paid because of the fact that the league knows that this year's draft for safeties is not good. Same thing with wide receivers. You had big name wide receivers get traded, get moved on from. You had a team in Buffalo that lost 2 starting wide receivers, traded out of the first round, and still got Keenan Coleman with the 33rd pick.
And they got another wide receiver too, I believe.
And they picked up another wide receiver because this was a wide receiver laden draft. There's not a lot of big name quarterbacks that ever move around. None this year. Why? Because they knew there was 5 guys in this draft that would go because of the fact that it's a quarterback laden draft. Same thing with running backs. Running backs this year got paid. Saquon Barkley got money. People got paid. Why? Because they looked at the draft class and said, this is not a great draft class for running backs.
Yep.
So we're going to use the free agents, pay them. And now the position that was undervalued for 2 years at running back had a value in the league because the draft value of the running back was so low. So people need to understand that, yes. And I'm not bashing the kid. I'm just saying he is the best safety available on some people's board because of the fact that this is an extremely weak safety class. That's all I'm saying to people.
No, I mean, look, when you look at this, guys, second round, these are the wide receivers that went in the second round.
Oh, that's going to make me cry.
On Saturday.
I know where you're going. This is going to make me cry.
Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Polk, A.D. Mitchell. Like those were like the 4 wide receivers that went in. So A.D. Mitchell went 20. You had Jalen Polk that went 5. Ladd McConkey went 2, and then Keon Coleman went 1 at 33.
At 33.
You know what I'm saying? And then if we go to the third round, you had Malachi Corley. He went 1 to the Jets in round 3.
Where did Franklin go?
Yeah, Jermaine Burton. Troy Franklin went to Denver.
Okay.
To go be with his buddy Bo Nix. You had Roman Wilson that went at 20. You've got Jalen McMillan from Washington that went to the Bucks at 29. You know, you had Luke McCaffrey
at the end of the first round.
So I'm sorry, but look, a good GM would have understood, hey, this is a deep, and he even said it from his own mouth. Like, this is a deep wide receiver class, not just in the first round. And I get it. Malik Neighbors is probably the second best prospect in this draft, maybe top 3 prospect in this draft. I'm not denying that at all. But at some point, you got to say to yourself, do I just want to get the top prospect, or do I want to improve my team the best way possible? And taking a chance on a quarterback at 6, whether it's JJ or whether it was Michael Penix at 6, and then you could move up in the second round to get an A.D. Mitchell, to get a Keon Coleman, to get a Jalen Polk. Like, if you took Michael Penix at 6 and you go and you get a guy like Jalen Polk in the second round, I mean, right there, you got some familiarity, just what the Broncos did. They got Troy Franklin. They took Bo Nix.
I did not know Franklin went to. I mean, I'm not a big Bo Nix fan. I've told people that, but I cannot. I mean, that's a great pick. First of all, you got a good player in Franklin. Second of all, you got a player familiar with your quarterback, with your starting quarterback. You have that symbiotic relationship already. That's I didn't know that. That's actually
and Troy Franklin went in the 4th round.
Yeah. That's disgusting.
He dropped all the way down to the 4th round.
That's actually I didn't know. I mean, like I said, I think that Neighbors is going to be a player. I've said it before. I think he's a good guy. I think he's going to
be a player too. I think he's going to be.
I think he's going to play. I think he could be a beast with a quarterback. But I've said this before, Rob. If you would have taken a quarterback and you grabbed a wide receiver in the second round, more than likely that wide receiver could probably equal the same production that Neighbors would have with Daniel Jones.
Oh, we talked about that. I don't know if it was you, but we talked about in the space.
Oh, I've been talking about that forever.
When you look at it, and hear me out, chat. When you look at it, I'll bet any money that Xavier Legette will have the same statistical numbers or close to what Malik Neighbors has year 1 in Carolina. And that's because he has a quarterback in Bryce Young. They went ahead and they updated their offensive line. They brought in Robert Hunt. They brought in Jermaine Lewis or Damian Lewis. Like they showed up. You had a guy in Adam Thielen last year, as old as he is, had 1,000 yards there.
Yep.
With Bryce Young playing quarterback. Like, I'm telling you, like, you're going to tell me that you couldn't have taken JJ or Penix at 6 and then traded up to 32 and taken Xavier Legette in the first round? Like, come on. I'm sorry, but like, that's just ass, bro. I'm sorry, but it's just ass. And like the whole thing about Drake May and shit like that, like
you carry yourself,
what
leadership,
the hell happened there?
Processing information. It's not easy. This guy
like they supposedly offered 6, 2025 first, 47, and then sweeten the pot with 107.
Joe Shane evidently just wanted to talk on the show.
Yeah, like that's not a legitimate offer. I'm sorry, but that's not a legitimate offer.
Joe
Shane, want to ask you.
I don't know why Joe wanted to come on.
But I want to come on more whenever it lets me.
Oh, Carl.
But I do want to ask you a question. Then I got to get going.
So do I.
Out of the 6 quarterbacks that were taken, how many are going to start week 1? I'm going to give you my 4, and then you tell me if you think. I think Caleb starts week 1. I think JJ starts week 1. Jaden starts week 1, and I think Bo Nix starts week 1. Those are your 4 out of the 6. I don't think that Drake starts, and obviously Michael Penix isn't going to start unless something happens where Kirk Cousins is not ready.
Unless Kirk Cousins isn't ready, but I agree. I think they're going to roll with Jacoby Brissett the first couple weeks, like they should, and then go. You know, I agree with that. I think that's definitely the list of who I would have that would start right now. Rob, I know you got to go and I got to go in 5 minutes, but at the end of the day, you got people on Twitter. I forgot who the writer was. You just basically said that
Dan Schneider,
the Giants are going to suck. That's basically what he said. And I'm going to sum it up because it was a long tweet. I'm going to sum it up. The Giants are going to suck. You have a lot. We were voted, and I think maybe it was ESPN. I forget where, having one of the worst ranked rosters in the entire NFL just recently as well. What is it now after seeing the draft, after seeing what they've done, knowing the fact that we are still going to be deeply negative in the salary cap once the Rule 51 breaks, and seeing the roster and seeing what we have now, because now it's not a finished product because we're going to sign some undrafted free agents. We're going to do some other things. What is your assessment of where we are going in 2024?
My prediction,
not a prediction, just an assessment.
I don't think that we're going to win more than 4 or 5 games next year.
Okay.
I think what I think is going to happen is if Jones starts off the season like he did this year, I think that they're going to bench him. They're going to put Drew Lock in. Drew Lock's going to play
we're doing Drew Lock.
Drew Lock is going to play, and I think they're going to be stupid. And what they're going to do is at the end of the year, they're going to give Drew Lock a 2-year deal because he only got a 1-year deal this time. They signed him to a 1-year deal. They're going to give him a 2-year deal. So he'll be here for 2025 and 2026. They will entertain yet again, like they're going to do their research on the quarterbacks that are coming out this year. And I think ultimately what they'll do is based on the offensive line, how the offensive line works, and where the defense is at, they will bypass yet again on a quarterback and either trade back wherever they're picking, because I think they're going to have a top 5 pick yet again. They will trade back, acquire more draft capital, or they will pick the best player available that's there, whether it'll either be an offensive lineman or which will be a defensive player. And I know people don't want to hear this, but the march for Arch has begun, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it right here with Todd says the Giants will participate.
The Giants will participate.
And Daryl basically said we're a quarterback. I've said this before, and I said this on Twitter, and I said it on the stream, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it loud and proud so everyone can hear it. Be prepared for year 7 of the Daniel Jones era. Just be prepared for it, guys. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Jones does this year. Be prepared for year 7.
You know what's crazy is somebody said for the last, I think he was on the Rich Eisen show. I don't know what his name is. I think he said for like the last 7 or 10 years, the Giants have been ranked in the bottom 7, I believe, or the bottom half of the league in drafting.
Yeah.
We've been ranked in the bottom half of the league in drafting for the last decade. Just to let everybody know.
I saw that as well, and I can't remember where I saw that, but I saw that as well. But I'm just going to tell people, be prepared. Year 7 of Daniel Jones, because of the fact that there is, even if he, God forbid, even if he makes it through this season, which we hope he does because of that injury clause, even if he makes it through this season, the Giants cannot rely on the likes of Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito in 2025. You're going to need a quarterback. And someone said it before, in year 6, you are a finished product. Well, no, because we still don't know what we have in Daniel Jones. So Mr. John Mara, in my mind, will give Daniel Jones year 7. I mean, that the idiocy and the craziness of that makes you want to be a Bears fan or a Packers fan or whatever fuck your team you want to be. It makes you want to be a Cowboy fan, because at least everyone complains about Dak Prescott, but what has Dak Prescott done besides put up 4,000 yards, put up 30 touchdowns? Yeah, you can't get over the hump in the playoff game, but the same thing was said, and I'm not comparing him to Peyton Manning, but the same thing was said about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning can't win the big one. He can't win in the playoffs. You're going to get a run where someone like a Dak is going to all of a sudden figure it out in the playoffs and shut everyone up, kind of like Peyton Manning did. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but I'm saying the odds are more likely he is going to do that more than Daniel Jones is going to have a good season. And on that happy note, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, tuning out, and everything else. This is Tim Stewart, Giant Straight Talk, powered by Olympic Blue LLC with the big R0B. Do the monkey with me. Want to appreciate everyone that came in. I don't know when we're going to have a stream again. Maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. We'll figure it out. But there will be a Tuesday video. So make sure you stay tuned, guys. You know it. For Rob and Tim, peace. We're out of here. Have yourself a good day.